Hello everyone and welcome to Science and Technology series. Today we are going to study and discuss some topics in health. So as you can see in the diagram, healthy body and healthy mind leads to happy human. So take care of your health, take care of your mind, eat healthy and be happy. So let's begin with immunity. Immunity, I think now everybody understands. Even if you did not know about it before, now you truly understand that how valuable it is. At least you understand this. As you can see in the photo, if you have strong immunity, you can repel the viruses, the disease causing viruses and other bacteria. Now these are called pathogens. We'll see these terms, but I think you understand from the photo itself and after the COVID episode that immunity is certainly a very strong thing which we should maintain. It is the first line of defense. So what is immunity? Technically, if we see what it is, basically it's the ability to fight diseases, or more specifically, it's the ability to fight the disease causing organisms. There are viruses, there are bacteria which cause disease when they enter your body. All right. So this is the immunity. Technically, this is called as immunity. Now, immune system does not develop in one day. It takes time. Sometimes we need help from vaccines, as we are seeing in the case of COVID, that we need vaccines to develop immunity towards COVID-19. So that is why whenever a child is born, they have proper immunization schedule. We will see what is the difference between vaccination and immunization. But for now, I just want to remind you that you must have seen and heard about this while preparing UPSC, or even in your real life, you might have seen that many newborn babies, they are immunized or they are vaccinated, because the natural immunity is of course there in the body. Like the child is obviously immune to some diseases, but they are not immune to all the diseases. And we'll see this, we'll see the innate which is innate type of immunity and another type of immunity. So we'll see all of this. But before going ahead, I want to just remind you that this thing that you see, that a child has to be made immune, that is because the child has antibodies or child is immune to some diseases but not all. So that is the adaptive immunity. If you can see this diagram, immune system is of two types: innate immunity and adaptive. Innate means the immunity which you already have, which you are born with. Now that is the first line of defense. That immunity, the innate immunity, protects you against all, not all, but most of the diseases. Then there is adaptive or acquired immunity, in which you learn immunity. Basically, your body learns to fight the disease causing organism. All right. Now, how do we judge immunity? Like, how do we know if you have immunity against some disease? It is checked. It if you have some antibodies, then you have the basically immunity. Antibodies are, we'll see that what are antibodies. So antibodies basically fight the bacteria or virus. All right. And this immunity is checked by some laboratory test. So I hope now you are clear with this. Let's now see some terms. Terms that we popularly hear whenever we talk about immunity, infection, vaccination, and so on. So the first one is antibody. Now you can see the diagram. Virus is like this. It has some center mass and then it has sort of hands. Antibody also has some hands. So I'll in the next slide I'll show how do these attach. All right. But first let us understand what is antibody. So the human body has a lot of proteins. Basically, human body is a collection of proteins. Now, antibody is a protein which is found in your blood, which is produced to protect you from some foreign substance. Antibody is a protein which is produced in the body to protect you from some foreign substance. Now that foreign substance can be a bacteria or a virus. Now usually these organisms enter the body to multiply. They want to multiply. Bacteria and virus want to multiply. So they were looking for a host. And whenever they enter your body, your body will recognize that there is something foreign in it. It will realize it and then it will start producing antibodies. Now sometime this infection gets quite high, and because of which people also die. So that is a different thing. But again, antibody is something which is produced when you or your body basically recognizes that there is some foreign substance in the body. Now antibodies protect the body from diseases that these bacteria or virus can have. Now how do they do that? They attach, the antibodies attach or bind to the virus or bacteria, and then they destroy it like this. Now here you will see how the antigen, basically antigen is the foreign substance that enters your body and can cause the disease. So how can how antigen and antibody lock? So see, antigen or the disease causing organism, they have this sort of hands, and seeing this the scientists develop the antibody, or the body develops the antibody like this. They attach at this part. All right, this is how they attach, and then the antibody kills the antigens. Got it? So antigen is something that will cause the disease. Antibody is something that protects you against said disease. Now what a pathogen? Pathogen is any organism or anything that can cause a disease in the human body. So very simple thing. So I hope these terms are now clear. Now let us come to type of immunity. Like I said, a child, when the child is born, they have some immunity, natural immunity, that is given to them by the mother. But many times, and every time actually, they don't have immunity against things that are like smallpox, chickenpox, tetanus. So for all this, and diphtheria and so on, measles. So all these things need vaccination. Basically, child needs to be vaccinated and given the antibodies, or not actually given the antibodies. I'll explain you the process, how it works. But the innate immunity is something which you're born with. So why am I telling you about the other thing in which the injection is given? Because that is how you can understand that the child is born with some immunity which is called innate immunity, and child is given immunity against some other diseases which is called acquired immunity. So innate immunity is something which you are born with. It is there when you are born, right? That is given to you mostly by your mother. Now this innate immunity happens because of some things like barriers, like physical barriers. Then there are chemical barriers. Then there are cellular defenses. Now we don't need to go into depth on all this because this is basically a biological thing, and UPSC does not go into this much depth in technical matters. So but if, for example obviously should be understood. Skin, your skin is a natural physical barrier against a lot of germs. The skin stops a lot of diseases, like especially that is why you can touch a COVID patient but you cannot inhale the air the COVID patient is exhaling, right? So all these things are there because skin can protect you. Even if you there are like many diseases in the sand also. There are many bacteria in the sand also. So whenever you touch a sand at a beach, or basically while just normal on the road, so the skin protects you against all those bacteria. Okay. So this is how basically types are there. Innate immunity has 3 types, right? We don't need to know. I'm just telling you because of the, we should understand this much only. This is the knowledge that is required. We don't need to understand what are the chemical barriers and all that. But of course, we need to understand the example. I've given you example of skin, right? Now, one thing here I would like to tell you, cytokine barriers. Now this is very interesting because what happens in this thing is that whenever the virus, all right, the disease causing virus infects a cell, a normal cell in your body. This is a normal cell in your body. Now whenever a virus infects this cell basically secretes a protein. It gives out a protein called as interferon, and this interferon goes to other cells and just tell them that please stop this infection, that infection is coming. That is like this. So basically it's like let's see, in movies you might have seen this, that there is a gatekeeper which is standing on the basically edge of the kingdom, and whenever there is somebody attacking, the gatekeeper will come back running and tell other people that there is an attack coming, so protect yourself, like this. So interferon are those proteins which tells the other cell to stop producing, all right, and basically protect themselves from infection. Basically infection is coming, like this. In Game of Thrones, winter is coming, so interferons help in telling other cells that infection is coming. So on the left hand side you can see the yellow cell, which is the infected cell. It releases interferons, those small yellow things, and then these go and attach to the uninfected cell, and there they degrade the nucleic acid and they stop protein synthesis of the virus, like this. All right, so very interesting thing, है ना? Now we come to the next type, which is acquired immunity. It is also known as adaptive immunity, so don't get confused. Now here I would like to give you an example before explaining this. Many times in our life we get cold, right? But if you observe this in somebody, initially the cold will take a lot of time to get cured, but slowly as the year pass and as you get the infection again and again, your recovery time reduces a lot. So this is called adaptive or acquired immunity, because your body learns that how to deal with an infection. Okay, adaptive immunity. Now let us see the term. You need to just differentiate when they happen. Innate immunity happens when you're born, when you're a child. Adaptive immunity will happen your whole life. It will go on. It's a process. And whenever the first attack happens, the innate immunity goes first, and then the acquired immunity. That means goes in the sense goes for fighting the pathogen. So adaptive immunity is something which is a special response to a specific pathogen. Pathogen is the disease causing organism. So it's very specific. It's not general. Innate immunity is general. This happens with a specific type of pathogen. So that is why it is called acquired immunity. That means you acquire it for a specific pathogen. Innate immunity is for everything. It is the first line of defense. Now adaptive immunity is not immediate. These are the features. That means this will develop along the life. It is not something also immediate, means it will not develop immediately. That means not in a day or even in a few hours. Sometimes it takes days, and sometimes it takes months to develop immunity against a disease. So acquired immunity is pathogen specific. Do remember that. Innate immunity is not pathogen specific. So how does it happen? Basically it is based on memory. That is, this means that whenever your body is exposed to a pathogen which can cause a disease, right? Whenever for the first time it is exposed to a pathogen, it will produce something, right? That something is basically their immune response. Your body responds to something foreign that is attacking the body, but that response is not very strong the first time. But as the infection keeps happening, the body learns. The body creates better response. And this I have also observed. Like once I got cough like 2 3 years ago, but again when I met people after the infection, when I met people and people were coughing, I did not get infected again that year. All right, so this happens. So this is the example. In acquired immunity or adaptive immunity, you acquire power against some antigen after some repeated infections. The more the infection, the more stronger the response. So first time your body encounters some pathogen, there will be a light response. That means you might have high fever, you might get sick. But the next time the same, if the same pathogen enters your body, body will give a powerful response. Right, this is because the body now has the memory. I talked about memory, no? Now, body has the memory of the first attack, so now it knows how to fight better. So this is very important, that how does our body learn. Now we can go technical of course in this, but of course that is not in our syllabus, but this is the process. Now let's come to the third type, active or passive immunity. Active immunity is sort of related to adaptive, right? Now in active immunity, that is something which we develop our whole life. Immune, if you are talking about innate immunity, that is immunity with which you are born. Active immunity is developed throughout your whole life. So whenever you encounter a pathogen or you are vaccinated, then you get active immunity. So these are the two ways where you can get active immunity. Now whenever your body get exposed to antigens, all right, antibodies are produced. I've talked about this. Now this is called active immunity. Okay, so active immunity takes or it keeps developing your whole life. Okay, and also it is slow, it does not develop at first response, it might take two responses also. So COVID immunity, that is why some dosages are given twice. Now what is passive immunity? Passive immunity is a little different, because this is a immunity which you don't get from your immune system. Very weird thing. So in passive immunity, like let me explain. Like I have given an example earlier, that a gatekeeper is coming and telling the kingdom that it is going to get attacked. Now if somebody else comes and tells you that your body is getting attacked or your kingdom is getting attacked, now that is passive immunity, because your soldier is not protecting your body. Let's say some other friendly kingdom realize that you are going to get attacked, so they send their soldier to protect you. So this is passive immunity. Basically, you are immune, but not because of your body, but your body is helped by somebody else. All right, and this is done in a way I'll explain. So this is passive. Till now, what we have studied is something where your body protects itself, but in not in passive immunity. In passive immunity, body is helped by something else, and that is why this passive immunity is very short lived, because the antibodies, they are not produced by your body, they are gifted from outside. Now let's see an example. Unborn and newly born babies, they are protected by the mother's immune system. Now this is passive, because the mother's immune system is protecting the baby. Also many times after being born, antibodies are taken from animals and then they are synthesized in a laboratory to treat some infections. For example, infants that are born to a woman who are infected with hepatitis B are treated with antibody preparations which are taken from animal. Getting the point? So here you are protected, but from something that is outside your body. The body did not develop, your body did not develop the antibody. That's the main point. That is the passive immunity. Also in case of snake bites, the injection which is given to the patient, they have antibodies which are already created. Your body does not create the antibodies there. The injection already has antibodies against the venom. Now, this type of immunization is called passive immunization, which is in which the immunity is taken from outside and then it enters your body. Your body is not producing the immunity. Please remember that. Now let's just summarize. So acquired immunity is the active immunity and passive immunity. In active immunity, you develop the immunity after being exposed to an infection or from getting a vaccine. Two types. In passive, you get the immunity from something or someone else, right? Your body does not develop the antibodies. So acquired immunity is something that you develop during your life, and it has two types, active and passive. Now you don't need to read the natural and artificial, but we'll just read it for general knowledge. Natural antibodies are made when you are exposed to an infection. Artificial antibodies are made after, or basically active immunity has two types, natural and artificial. We should not talk about antibodies like that. So please ignore that. So active immunity is of two types, natural and artificial. In natural, you get the antibodies after you get the infection. In artificial active immunity, you get the antibodies but after a vaccination. In passive immunity also there is natural and artificial. In natural, antibodies are given from the mother. In artificial, antibodies are given to you from a serum medicine. So this is the thing. Active immunity, passive immunity. Active immunity is natural and vaccination. Passive immunity is maternal and artificial. I have already talked about this. So this is just in a diagrammatic form. Now I am pretty sure you have heard about this term. This is the next term that we are going to discuss. So herd immunity has been a lot, we basically talked about a lot because of the COVID-19 infection. Now what is herd immunity? This is a very interesting concept. Basically, when a lot of people get immune to an infection, then the people who are not immune also get protected. Getting the point? When most of the population or very large number of people in a group or on earth, let's say, they get immune to a infectious disease, then the other people who are not yet immune, they also get protected. So this is called herd immunity or herd protection. All right. So this is the difference, that there are many people who would get infected, right? But if you want to talk about herd immunity, we should ignore the infection part. We should see the immune part. So according to a number, according to some research, 70% of the population needs to be immune against the COVID virus in order to go back to the pre-COVID times. Now let us take other examples. Measles, mumps, polio, chickenpox. These are the examples of the infectious diseases that were very common ones. But now they are rare because herd immunity has been created against them. Alright. And whenever such problems happen again, like measles, mumps, polio, chickenpox, or such disease, when they happen again, that is there because the people in that area have not vaccinated themselves properly. So if you vaccinate yourself, you create herd immunity, or you are contributing to herd immunity. So how to achieve herd immunity? First of all, a large number of the population needs to get infected or they need to get the vaccine. So that is why COVID-19 vaccination is a very important thing, so that we can develop herd immunity and we can actually stop the spread of this virus. So for coronavirus, as far as the research suggests, we need 70% of the population to be immune. That means at least they should be vaccinated or they should be infected, so that they have developed immunity against the disease or the virus, so that we get to the stage where we can go on about our life like we did before COVID. All right. Now let us see what is vaccination, right? The hot topic of 2020 and 2021. Now, vaccination basically is something which helps you build immunity. In vaccination, a bacteria or a virus, basically the disease causing organism, is inserted in your body, and then your body reacts to it, and then when the next time the disease or the bacteria enters or virus enters your body, the body will fight it on its own. Now, how does this happen? In vaccination, whenever you are given an injection, that injection contains basically diluted virus or weakened bacteria. That means it's not as strong as the actual virus or bacteria. All right. Or vaccination will contain some part of the virus or bacteria. So basically, weakened weakened bacteria or virus will be inserted in your body, and your body will develop a response, right? So this is how it develops, like I have told you about this over here. All right. So in this we talked about vaccines. So this is why vaccination is done against a virus. So whenever a vaccination is done, weakened virus or dead virus or bacteria, that it is inserted in your body, which is basically weaker than the original virus, so that your body can fight against it without hurting you. And then when next time the actual bacteria enters your body or actual virus enters your body, the powerful original virus, then your body will be able to fight that bacteria or virus. So vaccination is basically uh, building your tolerance towards a disease, and then your body learns to fight it. So once the virus enters the body, the immune system will react to the vaccine without you actually experiencing the disease. This is very important. You don't actually experience the disease. You don't go through full sickness, but your body is reacting. Inside your body is reacting. Your white blood cells are learning. All right. And the next time this actual virus, the powerful virus, comes into your body, the immune system will attack with more power, and your body also develops the antibodies quickly. If now if vaccination was not there, then the first time only you will get sick. The first time the virus enters your body without, let's say there is no vaccination, so when the virus or bacteria enters your body for the first time, it is so strong that your body is not able to develop vaccine, sorry, or not able to develop the antibody quickly. And then of course you get sick, and sometime the body is so helpless that you die, right? The virus is so strong or the bacteria is so strong that you die. All right. Now in COVID-19, you must have heard that sometimes two dosage will be given. Now that is called a booster shot. Many times, like for tetanus, I hope you have heard about this. So in tetanus also a booster shot is given. So a booster vaccination is given so that the immune system can overcome an infection in real life, because the body sometimes forgets. This happens. The body sometimes forgets how to create the antibodies for some disease. Now whenever this happens, you need more vaccination. You need routine vaccination. Now this is happening with respect to seasonal influenza vaccine. This vaccine is protective only for a short while because the organism changes itself. So to protect you against the new type of organism, you get a vaccine again. So this is how you can see in the diagram that how does vaccine work. First of all, you are given a small amount of disease. You are actually given a disease, but it is harmless to you. It is so small that it will not harm you. Then your body makes the antibodies. Your body does what? It creates antibodies to fight the infection. Now, if you get this disease again, the body will develop a lot of antibodies so that you don't get sick. Now, this is called acquired or active immunity. So now you're immune. Got it? So this is why vaccines are so important, and this is why vaccines will help in developing herd immunity. Because in COVID-19, what is happening is people transmit that. So if their bodies have the antibodies to fight the COVID-19 virus, SARS-CoV-2. So if the antibodies are there, then infection will stop with you. You will not spread it to anybody else. So basically you're stopping the transmission. And these disease, they spread from transmission only, right? From person to person they are spreading. So we need to understand this is uh, this this is how vaccines work, and that is why they are very important. Now let us understand the difference between vaccination and immunization. I've already hinted towards the difference, but nevertheless, vaccination is when you are given the vaccine. That process is called vaccination. Immunization is something which you develop after the vaccination. When you have vaccination, then your body creates a response, and then you get antibodies, and then you get immune. So basically vaccination goes and stimulates your immune system. Please wake up, wake up, wake up. So vaccine is sort of an instrument to wake up your immune system so that it can protect you against the disease in future. So vaccination and immunization, they are different terms, but many people sometimes use them together, and they are different. They are not the same. Remember that. Vaccination is when you get inserted with weakened bacteria or virus, and immunization is the process, or basically when the basically vaccination leads to immunization. This is how you can remember. Got it? Now let us come to another term which is related to this topic. This is called allergy. Allergy is a little different because in allergy there is not that high amount of diseases. All right. Usually people have allergy to cats, to dogs, to pollen, peanut allergy. Some people are allergic to milk also, they cannot digest the milk, right? So all of these things are there. But yes, if the allergy is very severe, it can lead to death also. So that is why many people have a injection which they inject whenever they are infected by anything, or basically whenever they are allergic to something in a very high manner. So in allergy, your immune system reacts in a very abnormal way. That means it does not know what to do. So it leads to inflammation. Like many times when people are deathly allergic to peanut or dogs or cats, their esophagus, or basically their neck or their windpipe, it gets swollen, right? It happens many times even if you are sick. If you have a lot of cough, your throat will get swollen and you will not be able to breathe properly. So in such allergies, in pollen allergy or peanut allergy, many times it happens with peanut allergy. Many people are very allergic, so they have the adrenaline injection with them. So whenever they by mistake they eat peanut, so their throat closes. I mean, they cannot breathe. So they inject themselves with the injection, and then they are able to survive. Now the substance that causes the allergy is called as an allergen. All right, the substance that causes allergy is called allergen. Now allergic diseases, they have been increasing in India in the last few decades, affecting around 20 to 30% of population in India. Common allergies in India are basically asthma, allergic rhinitis, eczema, anaphylaxis, drugs, food, insect allergy, and urticaria. Okay, so all these things are basically diseases that do happen because of allergy, but they are a little different from the usual smallpox and all that. This is basically because mostly all these things are not infectious. You have it, and mostly it is because of genetics. Again, we don't have to go into that much depth, like what is the difference and all, but just for your understanding, I have told you this. What else? Symptoms of allergy include sneezing, watery eyes, runny nose, difficulty in breathing. Like I said, the throat closes. It is a very difficult and very tense, uh, you can call it as a movement. Now, allergy is due to the release of chemicals like histamine and serotonin from the cells, mast cells. Now, whenever people want to determine what type of allergy they have, testing is done. In that testing, you are exposed to a small dosage of possible allergen, and then your reaction is studied. If you are allergic to peanut, small peanut will be given to you at the time of, let's say, when you're young, and then they will test. Now the drugs that are there for allergies, they have, and they are antihistamine, they are adrenaline, and they are steroids that quickly reduce the symptom of allergy. Basically, there is no cure for this. You have to treat the symptoms only. There is no cure for this. This is because many times, almost every time, this is a genetic thing. Now see, this is how that pen looks, which is an epinephrine pen, basically a steroidal pen, adrenaline pen that is used to save you whenever that allergic reaction comes. This blue part is pointed away from the body. This thing has the injection. Let me just show you. So basically blue to the sky, and you point this away from the body. Then you open basically this blue cap and then press it, and then this orange part you put it on the thigh of the person, on the thigh, and then you press it and you hold it for 10 seconds, and then you call for an ambulance, because even after giving the injection the person might not recover fully immediately. They might need hospital care. Now let us to come to the final topic, antimicrobial resistance. Now, this is a very important topic. This has been going on in the news for a while, and we need to understand it. What causes it? What are the steps taken by WHO? What are the steps taken by India? So, basically, it's a resistance. As you can see, the name antimicrobial resistance is a resistance that is acquired by a microorganism against medicines that humans give. Now, when this microorganism like bacteria, virus, fungus, parasite, when they acquire the resistance against the human medicines, then obviously we cannot treat the infections caused by them, or we cannot treat the diseases caused by these bacteria. So the human is not becoming resistant. Remember, the bacteria is becoming resistant, or the virus or the fungus or the parasite. Basically, more and more bacteria, viruses, and fungus, they will become immune to the normal medicines, and they would need more stronger medicines. So, microorganisms that develop antimicrobial resistance are sometimes called as superbugs. So, you will hear a lot of you will hear this term a lot of time in the papers called superbugs. So this is nothing but a microorganism that has developed the resistance against the antibiotics, antifungals, antivirals, antimalarials, anti-helmintics that are used to treat infections. Getting the point? So basically the bacteria or the virus or the fungus or the parasite becomes immune to the medicines that we give for them. Now it has become, or it has reached such a level that it is a major threat to the public health across the globe. This is why WHO and India have taken few steps to control it. Now WHO is sort of worried also, because if the antibiotics that we take to treat the diseases, if they stop working, then many bacteria will become superbug. Many, lot of bacteria will become superbug. Already many bacteria causing diseases, sorry, disease causing bacteria like TB bacteria, gonorrhea, pneumonia, these are becoming harder and harder. Even the TB has become multi-drug resistant TB. That means it is now the virus that causes the TB has become resistant to a lot of drugs. So now it is also being called as MTR-TB. Now, antimicrobial resistance can affect anyone of any age in any country. It is not like it will not help, sorry, it will not affect the young people. It is not like that. It will affect young people. Getting the point? So this is why we need to be very careful while taking antibiotic. We need to complete the antibiotic cycle whenever we are taking antibiotic, so that we don't basically develop superbugs. Okay. What else? Now, I have talked about this term antibiotics, so let us see the definition of this term before moving on. So, antibiotics are basically the medicines which are used to treat the bacterial infections. All right. Now, the resistant to antibiotics happen when bacteria can change itself and become immune to this medicine. Now, this is where the issue is happening. The bacteria is evolving and it is becoming immune to the medicines that we are giving against the bacteria. And this I have already told you, that bacteria becomes antibiotic resistant and not the human. Human will still be basically the medicine will affect the human, but the bacteria will become immune. Got it? Now let us see some facts and figures with regards to India. Now, for developing nations like India, antimicrobial resistance is quite important, because already there are a lot of diseases in India and our healthcare system is also not that strong. And the government also spends quite low on healthcare. And sadly, India is among the nations with the highest burden of bacterial infections. I'm not talking about resistant infections, but normal bacterial infections are also quite prevalent in India. Hence, impact of AMR will be high in India with if we compare with other developed countries. So in Indian setting, lot of issues are there, because of which AMR will have a lot of effect. So considering this, the National Health Policy 2017 highlighted the problem, and it has asked the government to bring proper measures for it. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have also identified AMR as one of the top 10 priorities for the collaborative work with WHO. That means the ministry is working with WHO, and the AMR is one of the top 10 priorities in that work. So government of India realizes the importance of AMR and realizes that we need to work against it as soon as possible. Now here I would like to discuss why it happens. Why do they develop? So the responsible factors are, see, microorganisms will develop resistance to the medicines as a natural defense mechanism. That means the microorganism, they evolve, and they evolve against anything that wants to kill them. As Darwin said, the things that survive, or the organisms that survive, they adapt very quickly. Similarly, the bacterial infection, or the bacteria that are causing the infection, adapt they adapt to the medicines that we are giving against them. They slowly adapt, like I've talked about in vaccination, no, that your body adapts. Similarly, this bacteria adapts, right? Also, because of the human activity, that means we take a lot of antibiotics, we don't complete our dosage, we are using antibacteria, basically antibacterial medicine for any infection. So human activity has also increased the process. First of all, we misuse the antibacteria medicine for ourselves also. First of all, we don't complete the dose. So completing the dose is very important. Secondly, we overuse this also. That means we don't take it when the doctor tells us, we take it whenever we want. And then we don't even complete the cycle. So because of these two reasons, the microbes are becoming resistant. Also, one of the biggest factor is livestock. The medicine that we give to animals against infections, we drink their milk, we eat their meat, right? So all these things are also creating immunity in the microorganisms. Basically, overuse and improper use of antibiotics is leading to antimicrobial resistance. All right, overuse and improper use both are different. In overuse, you use it for any infection. Improper use means you are not completing the cycle. You are giving it. You are giving high dosage for small problem like this. So overuse and improper use of the antibacterial medicine is leading to antimicrobial resistance. So how does it happen? Basically, there is usually a small number of bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics. Small number. But when we take antibiotics, they kill good bacteria also. And they obviously kill the bad bacteria, but they also kill the good bacteria that protects the body from infection. But the drug resistant bacteria will survive and then they multiply, because of which eventually drug resistant bacteria becomes dominant in your body and it starts spreading. Getting the point? So first there were small number of drug resistant bacteria, but when we take antibiotic, it kills the good bacteria also. So the bad bacteria survives, which is drug resistant, and then it multiplies. So this is how it happens, and then it becomes dominant in your body and spreads like anything. Now let us see about the antibiotic resistance and how it spreads. This is a WHO infographic. So you take medicines and then you give the antibiotic to the food producing animals and crops. Now animals develop drug resistant bacteria in their gut. How they develop I have explained in the previous photo. And then this drug resistant bacteria reaches to humans by the food, right? Or water, air, soil, or by direct contact. Now this drug resistant bacteria spreads to the general public and then it spreads around to other people. Okay, and of course then this is how antibiotic resistance develops. Second process is this antibiotics are given to patients, right? And antibiotic resistant bacteria develops in the gut. Then patient goes to hospital and then from there it spreads to other people. So antibiotic resistance spreads from these two basically directions. So whenever a bacteria can change itself and become immune, now the bacteria is becoming immune to the medicine. Then they cause an infection which is antimicrobial resistant infection. I hope that is clear to you. Now, what are the initiatives by World Health Organization to address the antimicrobial resistance? Now, you don't need to go into depth for this. This is just for knowledge for prelims. Global Antimicrobial Resistance Surveillance System. It's a surveillance system. That means they will collect the data. They will see at what level the resistance is going on in the world. Then there is a aware tool. Now it can be directly asked that aware tool is related to antimicrobial resistance or any other technology. Now aware tool is used for helping out policymakers so that they can use antibiotics safely, or basically the doctors and health workers, so that this aware tool helps them identify how to use antibiotics safely and effectively, right? In this the tools tells them that What antibiotics you can use to treat most common and serious infections, then what antibiotics should be available all the time in the healthcare system, and of course some antibiotics which should be used only as a last resort, because some medicines are so strong that if bacteria becomes immune to that, then it will create a big problem. Next is global antibiotic research and development partnership, in which there is research and development by public-private partnerships. Interagency coordination group on antimicrobial resistance. This is established by UN. And then finally a global action plan. This is important. It aims to ensure prevention and treatment of infectious diseases with safe and effective medicine. So it's an action plan which is for international level. Now, what are the steps taken by India? National Antimicrobial Resistant Research and Surveillance Network is there to strengthen the surveillance of antimicrobial resistance and compile data at different levels of healthcare, like primary, secondary, and tertiary healthcare. Also, there is a national action plan to combat the AMR, and it aims to understand the emergence, spread, and factors influencing AMR. Then this is interesting. There is a red line campaign for antibiotics packaging to curb their over-the-counter sale. See this red line. So if there is this red line, then it cannot be bought without the doctor's prescription. All right. So if there is a medicine that has this red line, then it can never be consumed without doctor's prescription, and the shopkeeper should not sell it to you. So you have to be responsible that please don't buy an antibiotic which has this red line without doctor's prescription. Do not take it. All right. So this campaign was launched in India. So it was praised all over the world. This is a news article from the Hindu that India lauded for the red line campaign on antibiotics. So this is a effective way of reducing the over the counter. Over the counter means normal buying from the chemist. Over the counter is now being cited as a model that can be used globally to counter the rising threat of superbug. So a very interesting and very effective campaign which was recognized globally. All right. Okay. So that is all for this lecture. This was the introduction of terms and how to basically understand all these things with respect to COVID also. In the next lecture will be the second part on health, and we'll be discussing some again like food fortification. We'll discussing one health topic which is quite new, then a brief about zoonotic diseases and so on. So see you in the next lecture. Do revise the terms discussed in this lecture, quite important ones. They will help you understand what is going on in the world right now. All right, that is all from me for this lecture. See you in the next one. Bye bye.